After 3 years of marriage without touching his wife, a millionaire discovered an incredible truth. Aaron Hart stood in his lavish living room, surrounded by shimmering chandeliers and plush furnishings that screamed success. But within this opulent bubble, a painful silence echoed louder than any celebration. 3 years had slipped by since he and his wife, Emily, had shared even a gentle brush of hands. To the world, they were the embodiment of the American dream: wealth, success, the perfect house. But on the inside, Aaron was locked away in a fortress of his own making. As he stared out of the floor-to-ceiling windows onto the picture-perfect suburban neighborhood, he felt nothing but isolation. He could hear Emily in the kitchen, laughter bubbling over as she prepared one of her famous meals. He remembered how once that sound had melted his heart. Now it felt like an uncomfortable reminder of love he had abandoned. Could he ever live with the suffocating notion that vulnerability equated to weakness? The memory of his childhood lingered, a chaotic upbringing where trust was a luxury he couldn't afford. Emily tried every day to reach out her warm smiles, laughter, and the zest with which she filled their home. Yet Aaron remained an emotional ghost, his heart guarded, wrapped in layers of sorrow. Friends visited, their concerned glances telling stories of what once was a loving couple now fractured at the seams. They remind him of the importance of connection, but Aaron's wealth felt like a cushion against the world. What else did he need? Until one fateful afternoon, an unexpected visitor changed everything. It was Frank, the veteran who lived next door. Years of battle had left him scarred, the haunting memories of combat dancing behind his eyes. When he hesitantly knocked on Aaron's door, needing a hand with something that had nothing to do with money, Aaron felt the walls he had built begin to tremble. First, hesitance enveloped him. As he listened to Frank share his struggles, Aaron was struck by a painful realization: the raw need for support, the kind he had never allowed himself. "I can't," he stammered, panic wrapped around his chest like a vice. But beneath that panic was something else, an echo from his past that urged him to step beyond the shadows. He remembered the laughter of summers spent with friends, the joy of shared moments, a stark contrast to the lonely existence he had created. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With the community gathering approaching, Aaron decided he'd step outside his comfort zone. He watched children run freely, laughter mingling with the smell of barbecues as neighbors greeted one another with warmth. A moment of truth approached. He felt drawn to the connections around him, yet shadows of doubt clung to his heart. Could he truly face the depth of intimacy he had so willingly abandoned? And then there was Emily. As the crowd buzzed with energy, he caught her eyes across the sea of familiar faces, her smile radiant, yet her eyes painted with dull hues of longing. The space between them felt vast, filled with unspoken words and shattered dreams. He felt the tightness in his chest again. Emotions hung heavy in the air. The question tugged at him like a lifeline. Would he allow fear to define his fate, leaving her heart forever in shadow? The sun dipped low on the horizon, casting an amber glow over the gathering. Aaron stood frozen, torn between the warmth of the atmosphere and the chill inside him. People laughed as they shared stories, their voices rising and falling like a comforting wave. Yet here he was, a mere spectator wrapped in the fear of his own making. He turned his attention back to Emily. She was helping a neighbor with something, her laughter weaving effortlessly through the crowd. The sound shimmered in the air, tantalizing and torturous. Every smile she gave felt like a silent plea, a call for him to reconnect. Yet each time their eyes met, he felt the force of an invisible barrier pushing them apart. Suddenly, a small boy darted past him, and in a surprising moment of spontaneity, Aaron reached out to stop him from running into the barbecues. The boy skidded to a halt, surprised, and with a big grin looked up at Aaron. "Thanks, mister. You saved me," he shouted before darting off once more. For a fleeting second, Aaron felt a flicker of joy, a connection that reminded him he was still part of something. As he watched the boy disappear into the crowd, the echoes of his childhood flooded back. Memories danced in his mind: sunshine, laughter, and the feeling of being cared for. The warmth of community felt distant and inaccessible, like watching a movie through a foggy lens. "You saved him," Emily said softly, suddenly beside him, her presence stirring something deep within. He turned to her, searching her face for a glimpse of the woman he had fallen in love with. "Yeah, just a kid running too fast," he replied, but the weight of their distance hung heavy in the air. Her smile faltered slightly, the sparkle in her eyes dimming. "Maybe it's time to run a little faster yourself," she suggested gently, her voice tinged with hope and concern. It was a simple statement, but it struck him like a bolt of lightning. Could he really face the speed of vulnerability? Emily reached for his hand, and for the first time in years, he instinctively flinched, feeling a rush of panic. But then beneath that panic something else stirred. The warmth of her palm felt like an invitation, a bridging of a chasm he had kept between them for far too long. "Aaron," she started, and he could hear the tremor in her voice, a mixture of fear and undeniable affection. He hesitated, glancing at the crowd, at Frank chatting with other neighbors. At that moment he realized it was all connected. The courage he saw in Frank, the laughter of the children, Emily's hopeful gaze, they all represented something he desperately needed. "Emily, I'm scared," he admitted, and the honesty in his voice shattered the tension hanging between them. The truth was, he didn't want to be alone anymore. The prospect of reconnecting felt daunting, but the thought of losing Emily pushed him toward the edge of change. "What if we tried? Just us, no expectations?" she prompted softly. He watched her, every heartbeat drumming against a fever of possibilities. Should he leap? Could he dare to risk the comfort of his solitude for a chance at true love? But there was a twist lurking just beyond the edge of his fears. Wasn't that the only way to find the truth? A small rustle pulled his attention back to the gathering. Frank was about to speak, and Aaron felt a pang within him. He could either stay safe behind his walls or face the reality of connection head on. So he took a deep breath, ready to leap, hoping that when the moment came, he wouldn't just land, it would be the start of something beautifully uncharted. But as Emily stepped closer, a shadow flickered in his heart, whispering doubts that threatened to pull him back. Would he push through the shadows of fear? Or would love remain a stranger in his own home? The sound of laughter tugged at Aaron, pulling him back into the reality of the gathering, but his mind felt miles away. Frank's voice rose above the chatter, announcing that the barbecue was ready. The smell of grilled meats reached him, a familiar comfort he had often taken for granted. He felt a pang of longing, not just for the food but for the connection he had lost over the years. As people began to drift toward the food, Emily squeezed his hand lightly again. This time he didn't flinch. The warmth radiating from her felt like a spark igniting a faded memory of what it was like to hold someone close, to share moments rich with laughter and nostalgia. "Come on," she urged gently, "let us join them." He took another deep breath. This wasn't just about him anymore. There was so much unsaid between them, and as much as fear clung to him like a heavy shroud, a tiny flame of hope flickered against it. They walked together, hand in hand, the contact feeling both foreign and intimate. He could feel the glances of their neighbors, the soft smiles, an acknowledgement that something new was unfolding right before their eyes. Every step felt monumental, a step toward something that had been denied for too long. When they reached the serving table, Frank greeted them with a warm clap on the back. "Glad to see you two together," he said, his voice bright with encouragement. It was just a simple statement, but it wrapped around Aaron like a blanket, comforting yet alarming at the same time. Did everyone know how tense things had been? Did they hope for a return to better days? "I'll grab us some plates," Emily offered, leaving him standing at the edge of the clamor. He watched her move, the grace and ease in which she navigated the small crowd. Laughter flowed around her like music, and he found himself lost in the rhythm of her presence. But as he stood there, a knot twisted tighter in his stomach. The old, familiar dread never left him. What if he couldn't navigate this? What if he let her down again? Every joyous moment they shared felt overshadowed by the darkness of his past mistakes. "Hey man," came a voice from beside him. It was Ben, a neighbor he didn't know well but who had always been friendly. "You alright? You seem off." "I'm trying," Aaron replied, honesty spilling from his lips as it had with Emily. Ben nodded, his expression shifting to one of empathy. The thing about trying is that it's enough. Just putting one foot in front of the other counts for something, man. Don't think it has to be perfect. It was actually comforting to hear those words, simple, unadorned, and true. Aaron appreciated that Ben wasn't demanding perfection from him, just a willingness to keep moving. Maybe that's what this was all about, taking the steps without knowing where they would lead. Emily returned, plates in hand, filled with food that smelled incredible. With a bright smile she said, "Here we go. Let us eat." As she handed him a plate, their fingers brushed again, this time lingering longer than before. The connection sparked to life, igniting something inside him. Maybe this was what it meant to risk vulnerability. But behind the happiness, the shadow of doubt still whispered, weaving through the air like a ghost. Were they really about to break the chains of silence and start anew? Aaron's heart quickened, uncertainty mingling with newfound hope. The laughter around them continued to light the evening, but inside, he wrestled with the pressing fear that one misstep could unravel it all. Could he truly embrace this second chance they were tentatively creating together? With each bite, the food felt good. Yet it was nothing compared to the exchange in Emily's eyes as she shared stories during dinner. As their friends chatted, he sensed the fragility of the moment, as if everyone was holding their breath, waiting for something more to unfold. Would this spark give way to a blaze of healing, or would he falter just when it mattered most? The question loomed larger as the night wore on, an unsettling certainty that the real test was just around the corner. And right when he thought he had a handle on everything, he saw Emily glance past him, her expression morphing into concern. Aaron, wait, what was it she saw? What new challenge would climb between them this time? Aaron turned, instinctively following Emily's gaze. His heart raced as he scanned the crowd. At first glance, everything seemed fine. Friends were laughing, children were playing tag around the yard, and Frank was busy flipping burgers on the grill. But there at the edge of the gathering a figure stood apart, watching them intently. It was Jessica, the woman from Aaron's past. She had been a close friend once, someone who had shared laughter and secrets. The distance that had grown between them felt like an endless chasm back then. And now it seemed she was trying to bridge it with the weight of her presence. What was she doing here? Did she know he was with Emily? Emily's grip on Aaron's hand tightened. "Do you want me to know?" He interrupted, shaking his head slightly. Let us see what she wants." They approached, and as they drew closer, he could feel the rise and fall of unfamiliar tension around him. Jessica's smile faltered as their eyes locked, a flicker of recollection crossing her face, a flash of memories best left in the past. "Hey Aaron," she said, her voice a blend of surprise and hesitance. "I didn't know you'd be here." "Hey Jess." His own voice felt heavy, weighed down by ghosts of yesterday. "Long time no see," she added, attempting to keep it light. But he could sense her nerves beneath the surface. "Yeah." His reply was curt, the silence stretching awkwardly. He glanced at Emily, who stood beside him, trying to mask her discomfort but failing miserably. The shadows of their history loomed between them, and he could almost feel Emily's heart racing. Jessica shifted on her feet, drawing in a breath. "I was just coming to say hi. I heard about everything." Her eyes darted to Emily. "I'm glad to see you both together. It's good to reconnect." An attempt at kindness, Aaron realized, but it landed like a lead weight. "Thanks," he muttered, unable to shake off the chill creeping up his spine. Emily's expression tightened, and he knew she was struggling. "We were having dinner," she finally managed, her tone sharp. Aaron appreciated her instinct to shield him, yet he felt the tension pulling taut, fraying at the edges of their hard-earned moment. Would their evening crumble under the weight of his past? As Jessica tried to smile, he could almost read her thoughts, questions born from half-remembered conversations and unspoken doubts. "Is everything okay with you?" she asked, and her voice skimmed dangerously close to concern, teasing out more insecurities. Aaron glanced between the two women, a sense of urgency clashing within him. It was a fragile moment, the kind that could fracture easily, and somewhere deep down he didn't want it to end. He had worked tirelessly to create this peaceful moment with Emily. Didn't he owe her the truth? "Jessica, I should tell you," he began, but a sudden commotion erupted behind them. A dog barked excitedly, a child squealed, and in that split second the weight of the air shifted. Everyone's focus broke as they turned toward the ruckus. It was an innocent distraction but still felt like a badly needed reprieve. Emily looked up, her eyes filled with uncertainty, but there was also a spark of determination resonating in them. Maybe now's not the right time, she whispered, and he could sense her desire to keep their world undisturbed. But could they really avoid the truth waiting just beneath the surface? As laughter returned and the music soared again, Aaron felt the urge to address the unspoken linger like a ghost at their gathering. In that moment of shared silence with Emily, he realized the question he dreaded the most loomed larger than ever. Could he keep his past from overshadowing the chance they both so desperately sought? The night continued on, but he couldn't shake the feeling that the real confrontation awaited just around the corner. Would he summon the courage to face what was buried under layers of time and regret? Or would the facade shatter, leaving them both exposed once and for all? A sudden blast of laughter jolted Aaron back into the moment. The noise of the party enveloped them again, drowning out the shadows of uncertainty. He took a breath, glancing from Emily to Jessica, trying to gauge the temperature of the conversation. Time seemed to stretch painfully, and he could feel every heartbeat echoing in his ears. "Did you go through with it?" Jessica's question cut through the noise, her voice more curious than accusatory. Aaron felt eyes on him, not just hers, but the collective gaze of the backyard gathering. It was a casual inquiry, yet it felt like it carried the weight of a lifetime. "What do you mean?" he asked, the words coming out sharper than intended. It was hard to hide the defensiveness creeping into his tone. "I mean," Jessica hesitated, glancing around as if searching for the right words. "I heard about the divorce. The aftermath." She looked up and met his eyes again, blinking away the flicker of regret. "I wanted to check if you were okay." "I'm fine," he responded, but even he could hear the lie in it. Wasn't fine? The truth was he was treading water, hoping to stay afloat while the storm raged beneath him. Emily leaned into him, her warmth a reassuring anchor, yet it also reminded him of the brittle edges of their current state. He could see the confusion in her eyes, the way she fought against the doubt creeping in. Could he truly shield her from his past? "Are you really fine?" Jessica pressed, stepping closer with an earnestness that tugged at Aaron's heart. It dawned on him that this wasn't just about their bygone friendship. It was also about the choices that had led them all here. Choices that seemed carved in stone yet frail and breakable at the same time. "I have a new life now, Jessica," Aaron said, choosing his words carefully. "This is what I want." He gestured to Emily, whose brow furrowed with concern. But as they stood together, he could feel the unspoken truth hanging between them. Her determination faltered only slightly, but it was there in the tightened grip of her hand on his. Jessica noticed her expression shifting between understanding and something darker, regret, perhaps. It was as if she was witnessing a scene from a play she had once been a part of. "Your past doesn't just vanish," she said softly, her eyes searching Aaron's. "You can't bury it and expect it not to haunt you." He didn't want to hear that. It felt like digging up sorrows he had worked so hard to put away. But Jessica wasn't wrong. The tension in the air thickened at the unspoken agreement that the past was still very much alive, waiting to rear its head at the most inconvenient moment. Emily's breath caught, and Aaron could feel her heart racing. "Maybe we should leave," she murmured, not quite articulating the storm of feelings brewing inside her. The word struck him like a lightning bolt. Was he really prepared to walk away from this evening, to walk away from her? No. He felt a raw determination surge within him, a commitment to face the mess of it all rather than turning away. "We can't run from our mistakes." Jessica nodded slowly, a flash of respect glimmering in her eyes. For a moment, tension ebbed as they all recognized the truth and fragility of their situation. Aaron took a deep breath and decided to speak, to lay bare the truth he had kept hidden, the truth that might finally free them. "Emily, there's something I need to tell you about my past." His heart thudded in his chest. But before he could continue, the loud sound of shattering glass erupted nearby, breaking the charged silence. Every head turned. Aaron's pulse quickened again, worries flooding back as he prepared to reveal what had haunted him for years. Was this the moment that would redefine their future? Or would it dissolve like the glass now scattered on the floor, leaving only shards of what could have been? The air felt electric, the laughter of the partygoers fading into a distant hum. Aaron's gaze darted toward the source of the crash, where a cluster of guests stared in shock at the spilled contents of a shattered bottle. In that moment, time suspended itself, and all the weight of his past seemed to leg down on his shoulders like a heavy coat. "Are you okay?" Emily's voice sliced through the stillness, her concern palpable as her fingers gripped his arm tighter. He could see it in her eyes, the fear, the worry, the trembling hope that what lay ahead wouldn't break them apart. "Yeah," he managed, though his voice felt foreign. "Just give me a second." He raised a hand to signal he needed a moment, hoping to gather himself. Jessica stood a few feet away, perplexed. The worry in her face mirrored what was twisting inside Aaron. He could escape into the laughter and distractions all around him, but he realized that doing so would only deepen the chasm of silence between him and Emily. "Let us sit," he suggested, gesturing toward a couple of chairs tucked into a shadowy corner of the yard. A few people circulated nearby, but most were too consumed with the night's chaos to pay attention to them. Once settled, he faced Emily. The way she looked at him, vulnerable and brave, pulled at his heart. "I know it's hard to talk about this," he began slowly, the words cautious and deliberate. "But I owe you the truth." Emily nodded, her breath catching. He could tell she was holding on to her hope tightly, but cracks were beginning to form. "Do you want to start with Jessica?" she asked. "Maybe it's better I start with me," he said, feeling the walls around him buckle. "When I went through my divorce, there were so many things I thought I understood. I thought I could compartmentalize it. I thought if I just pushed it away I could start fresh." His eyes drifted toward the still scattered shards of the bottle on the ground. "But it kept coming back. It haunted me, and I became this shell of who I used to be." "Is that why you've been distant?" she asked gently, her fingers loosening their grip on him. A heaviness fell between them, and he knew this was the crux of it. "I didn't want to draw you into my brokenness. I wanted to protect you. But I know now that by keeping my past hidden, I'm doing just the opposite." A tear glimmered in Emily's eye, and it broke him to see it. "I want to share everything with you, especially the messy parts. You deserve that." Jessica had been listening intently, and her expression shifted from confusion to sorrow. Aaron could see the realization in her eyes that even a shared connection from the past was not enough to shield them from consequences. The choices they made and the shadows creeping up behind them were entwined in ways he hadn't fully grasped before. "Maybe I was too focused on my own pain," she murmured, her voice wavering. "I should have reached out instead of just watching from the sidelines." "No, you were right," he said quickly, sensing the need for honesty. "You were doing a great thing by checking in on me. I've been overly protective of my heart, as if hiding it would make it heal faster. But look at us, we're still just dancing around it." Emily squeezed his hand, a flicker of hope igniting between them. "So what now?" There was a quiet strength in her question. Aaron looked between them, the weight of the past still lingering but beginning to shift. "Now I need to come clean. There's something I buried in shame, something from my marriage that I need to share." He leaned forward, ready to unveil the truth, but the sound of his phone buzzing in his pocket cut through the moment. He fished it out, anxious to know what interruption had come calling. Now it was a text from his ex. "Meet me in the park tomorrow. We need to talk." Panic shot through him. Could he truly face her after all this time? Would the truth he craved to share with Emily now slip between his fingers? "Emily," he started, but the weight of the future felt heavier than ever. What was he really willing to sacrifice for the hope of a fresh start? Aaron's heart raced as he stared at the text. "We need to talk." Those words trailed behind him like ghosts, filling his mind with dread. The chaos of the party around them felt muted, as if everything faded into the background. Emily watched him intently, those vibrant eyes searching for clarity. "What does she want?" she asked, her voice a mix of concern and curiosity. I don't know." His mind was a whirlwind, recalling the arguments, the silence, the countless missed opportunities with his ex that had led him here. "It's been 3 years since we even spoke," he said, shaking his head. "This feels wrong. Like I'm being pulled back when I'm just starting to move forward." "Maybe it's just a hasty reach out," Jessica interjected softly, choosing her words carefully. "People do strange things when they're feeling lost. Is it worth facing her now?" The question echoed in Aaron's ears. Worth it? Could facing his past help him heal, or would it rip open old wounds that had just begun to scab over? He looked at Emily, her presence a reminder of everything he could lose. He took a deep breath. "I don't want to hide this from you," he said, a tremor in his voice. Meeting with her could stir up a lot of things. But I need to know what she wants and why now. Emily's expression deepened, understanding layered with fear. But what if this pulls you away from us? Away from what we're trying to build? Jessica chimed in. What if this meeting turns things more complicated? You've already shared so much tonight. Are you ready to risk everything for something that might not matter anymore? He felt cornered by questions, and with each one, the weight of responsibility settled further on his shoulders. He faced Emily, feeling the tension crackle like electricity in the air. You know I don't want to lose you. But I can't ignore this either. If I don't confront it, I'll always wonder. Emily swallowed hard, searching for a flicker of reassurance between them. Then we'll face it together. Whatever it is, we will tackle it. Aaron's heart swelled at her words, yet he couldn't shake the nagging doubt. Would this new chapter be severely impacted by an old chapter he tried so hard to close? Let us think it through, he said more firmly. I can't go tomorrow and pretend everything's normal if it's not. We owe it to each other to be fully honest. The party continued behind them, laughter blending into the background like a faint melody. In the dim light of the corner, it was just the three of them now, surrounded by their whispered truths and shifting realities. Whatever it is that she wants to say, it's going to matter. How it relates to us, that's my focus now. He could sense the urgency built between them, the need to unravel this hidden truth before stepping forward. Emily nodded, a sparkle of determination in her eyes. Just promise me you won't do it alone. I promise, Aaron replied, squeezing her hand tighter. As they sat there, an uneasy silence stretched between them, but it wasn't one of fear anymore. This was a moment of shared strength, of grappling with shadows that had loomed for too long. But as he pulled his phone out again, a new message lit up the screen, this time from an unfamiliar number. I know what happened. Meet me if you want answers. His breath caught in his throat. Who was this and what did they know? The layers of his past began to peel back in a way he hadn't anticipated, and suddenly, the truth felt closer than ever. How deep does this go? He thought, clutching the phone like it was a lifeline. The stakes were rising, and with every second that passed, he felt the weight of the past twisting his future tighter. Emily, he began, his voice barely above a whisper, ready to reveal the secrets he'd been holding close. Would this new turn of events tear them apart, or bind them together even stronger? Aaron's fingers trembled over the phone screen, the message burning into his mind like a brand. He turned to Emily, who was brimming with concern. I just got another text, he said, fighting the knot tightening in his throat. Someone knows things. Things about me that I haven't shared. Who? Emily leaned closer, her voice low and urgent, as though raising it might shatter the moment. I don't know. It's just a number I don't recognize. He looked to Jessica for backup, but she looked just as lost, caught between wanting to support him and being anxious about what lay ahead. Okay, Emily said, gathering her thoughts. We need to figure this out. What do you want to do? I want to know what they mean by what happened, but I don't think I can do this without you. The weight of the past crashed down on him, pressing against his chest. Jessica shifted in her seat, her voice steady but thin. This is major, Aaron. If you go this route, you need to be ready for anything. Like really ready. You think I'm not? He shot back, his frustration bubbling to the surface. But deep down he felt vulnerable, like a ship tossed in a storm. The cheerfulness of the party outside seemed a world away now, further reinforcing the isolation he felt. Emily reached for his hand again. You're not alone. We'll figure this out together. Her touch felt like a bomb, reassuring him she wouldn't shy away from whatever was about to unfold. Okay, he conceded, pulling his breath in as he willed himself to calm down. I need to respond. Let them know I'm willing to talk. Are you sure? Jessica countered, concern lacing her question. What if it opens up more pain than you're ready for? The truth was he didn't know what he was ready for anymore. The longing for resolution clawed at him, painful yet invigorating. I have to know what they know. I can't keep running from it. As he rapidly typed his reply, who are you? What do you know? The screen flickered like his anxiety. He hit send and leaned back, waiting almost breathlessly for a response. Seconds dragged, each one stretching into an eternity, until a new message pinged back. Meet me. Tomorrow at the diner on 5th, midnight. What diner? Emily asked, uncertainty threading her question. The one near our old apartment. The one we used to go to when everything felt easier, he replied, recalling the dim lights and the scent of coffee mingling with fries. He couldn't shake the dread that washed over him, memories crashing over him like waves. Are you really going to go? Emily asked, her tone a mix of fear and determination. What if it's a trap? It might be, he admitted, feeling the weight of the choice ahead. But I need to face this. For us. For everything we're building. There, in the subdued chaos of the party, the bond of their hands felt profound, like a tether between two worlds. What if this all led to more pain? A darker truth? Or maybe, just maybe, it would illuminate the path forward. The clock ticked invisibly, pulling Aaron deeper into the unknown. I have to understand. Emily steeled her gaze, unflinching. You're not standing in this alone. If you go, I'm coming with you. He opened his mouth to argue, but the ferocity in her eyes left no room for dissent. As the embers of determination settled in the air around them, the party gears shifted in the background, music now a soft, maddening hum. What will we find at that diner? Aaron wondered, the question slinking into the depths of his mind. And just as he pondered it, another message popped up. This time it sent chills racing through him. Time to confront your past. Everything you thought you knew is about to change. It was a threat or an invitation, maybe both. What had he unearthed? Aaron felt the air grow thick around him. The message loomed over him like a storm cloud, heavy and dark. Jessica sat back, her fingers nervously tapping on her knee, while Emily's grip tightened around his hand, grounding him. What are you thinking? Emily asked, her eyes searching his, a mixture of fear and determination in her gaze. I am scared, he admitted, the confession tumbling out in an unguarded moment. What if this person is right? What if everything I thought I knew about my life is a lie? That's a risk we take when we dig into dark corners of our past, Jessica said softly, her voice steady. But you know what? Even if we face painful truths, you've got us. You won't have to go at it alone. He nodded slowly, feeling a flicker of gratitude amongst the torment brewing within him. The familiar walls of the diner flashed in his mind, memories of laughter, shared fries, and easy conversation crashing against the anxiety swelling in his chest. Aaron, Emily's voice, warm and anchored, brought him back to the present. Promise me you'll be careful. If you sense any danger, we can leave. You don't have to face this person alone if you don't want to. He swallowed hard, the weight of her words resonating deeply. Yeah, promise. He wanted to sound confident, but his voice wavered. They spent the rest of the evening in a delicate dance of reassurances and unspoken fears, the party fading into a background murmur. Aaron replayed the imagined confrontation over and over, constructing scenarios based on gut instincts and whispered worries. I think we should go early, Emily suggested. Scope the place out, make sure it feels safe. Good idea, Jessica chimed in, her tone echoing the plan. Knowledge is power in scenarios like these. We can even grab a slice of pie and just wait. As the clock struck 10, the three of them made their way through the darkened streets, drawn toward the diner by a magnetic pull. The city glimmered under the muted glow of streetlights, casting fractured shadows that felt surreal. Each step felt weighted, as if the sidewalk itself was testing the strength of their resolve. The diner was a time capsule, unchanged since the days they had first walked through its swinging doors. The smell of coffee and grilled burgers hit him like a wave of nostalgia, drowning him momentarily. Looks like the same old place, Jessica remarked, smiling faintly, but her eyes betrayed a hint of concern. Aaron's heart raced as they settled into a booth that hugged the familiar contours of their memories. He glanced at the clock. 11:30. The anticipation built like steam in a kettle, ready to boil over. Do you think they'll show? Emily dared to ask, breaking the silence as she fiddled nervously with a sugar packet. Or maybe they're watching right now. Then we'll be ready, Aaron replied firmly, trying to inject confidence into his voice. He squeezed Emily's hand tighter. Time crawled. The diner buzzed with late-night patrons, oblivious to the storm swirling at their table. As Aaron scanned the room, a figure caught his eye in the corner, cloaked in shadow, eyes locked on him. A chill ran down his spine. There, he whispered, nodding subtly toward the figure. Emily's head whipped around, her breath hitching. Are you sure? I think so, he replied, pulse quickening. Suddenly the figure stood up, moving closer, the tension in the air solidifying. Aaron's heart raced, and the world around them blurred. Who was this person? Did they have all the answers he sought, or was this the beginning of something far worse? The figure stepped into the diner light, revealing themselves. Aaron's heart dropped. A face he hadn't expected. Ready to talk? The person said, a smirk dancing at the corners of their lips, holding on to a truth that could shatter everything as emotions collided. Aaron felt a dark undercurrent swirl within him. Would he dare step into the truth laid before him, or would fear send him spiraling back into silence? What had he gotten himself into? The diner was alive with chatter and clinking cutlery, yet Aaron felt utterly alone as he stared at the figure towering above him. His past had arrived in the form of a woman he once knew intimately, Jessica. The weight of the last few years crashed down upon him like a wave crashing on a rocky shore. Ready to talk? She said, her smirk a blend of surprise and superiority. It ignited a spark of anger in him. Here was the ghost of his past, stepping into his present, demanding attention with that very same smile he used to find comforting. Why now? Aaron's voice came out tight, raw with tension. He could sense Emily's hand clenching tighter around his, her warmth a grounding force in the chaos. Jessica took a seat across from him without waiting for an invitation, her voice dropping to a more serious tone. I know things have been messy. I just thought you'd want an explanation. What do you mean messy? Aaron countered, frustration boiling beneath the surface. He wanted to shield Emily from this, but he also needed answers. Did you think the past would stay buried? I know who you've been trying to forget. She leaned closer, her tone conspiratorial. You're not the only one who has regrets. Aaron opened his mouth to speak, but the words caught in his throat. He glanced at Emily, who was watching the interaction with wide, worried eyes, her expression a mix of concern and unease. Let us just cut to the chase, Jessica said, her gaze flickering to Emily. I know you two are working things out, but you need to hear the truth. The whole truth. Well, spit it out. Aaron snapped, unable to control his rising anger. Are you here to unearth skeletons or to help? I'm here to help. But you have to understand something. Jessica hesitated, searching for the right words. You're not the only one haunted by your choices. We all are. She delved into the past, recounting the days leading up to his divorce with painful accuracy, events Aaron thought he'd suffocated beneath time and regret. Memories rushed back unbidden, their sharp edges cutting through the fragile fabric of his recovery. You think you're alone in this? Jessica continued, her voice softer now, almost pleading. I never wanted to hurt you. I admired how you bounced back after everything, but it was never just about you. I lost my way too. Aaron struggled to process the emotions swirling within him. The hurt, the betrayal, the sadness, they were all suddenly real again. But now they were mixed with a strange understanding of shared pain. Emily deserves to know everything, he managed, forcing the words out as he turned toward her. I can't protect you from this. Then let us hear it. Emily said, her voice unwavering, filled with raw courage. Whatever it is, we'll face it together. Jessica leaned back, the facade of confidence slipping. I didn't come here to ruin what you have. But you are. Aaron pressed, frustration boiling over. You can't just walk into my life and expect me to ignore everything. What do you want, Jess? I want closure for both of us. I thought that was what you wanted too. She met his gaze, and for the first time, he saw vulnerability reflected in her eyes. Closure. It echoed hauntingly like a call to arms. Maybe that's what he needed. Maybe this messy encounter was the catalyst for healing. Aaron stammered, torn between the past and the future. I just want to move forward, not drag back. In that moment he began to see a path through the fog. The fear of the past didn't need to control him. Standing beside Emily, he drew strength from her unwavering gaze, and he realized that choosing love meant confronting the past, not running from it. Jessica, maybe it's time we carve out our own paths. I'm done looking back. He found power in those words. He took a deep breath, turning to Emily. I know we can build something beautiful, but I have to be honest. This may hurt for a while. Whatever it is, it's ours to face, Emily replied, determination shining in her eyes. Don't forget, love isn't about being perfect. It's about growth together. Jessica's smirk faded, giving way to understanding. She nodded slowly as if conceding. Then I respect that. Just don't let the shadows of what was hold you captive. Live in the now. The weight in the air began to lift. Aaron felt the invisible chains he had forged melt away. It wasn't just about uprooting the past. It was about transforming its lessons into freedom. Let us leave the past where it belongs, he said firmly, addressing the both of them. It's time to step into the light. Together. Emily squeezed his hand tightly, their fingers interlacing with strength that spoke volumes. From across the table, Jessica looked on, surprisingly encouraging. As they moved toward the door, releasing the tension braided around them, Aaron felt a surge of gratitude. He had the love of a strong partner, the courage to face difficult truths, and a willingness to open a new chapter unburdened by regret. Tomorrow will be a new day, he thought, embracing both Emily and life anew. They walked away from the past, back into the warmth of the diner buzzing with possibility. One step, one choice, one moment of bravery could shift the course of their lives forever. Never before had he felt so alive, so ready to embrace everything that came next. You need to subscribe now to join the journey of transformations. This is the moment to show your support and keep up with exclusive stories that inspire. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep these stories coming. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this ending. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this powerful transformation.